Hey guys, Sean here. Today I want to talk about Vertigo and basically how I think the map is going to play out. I see a lot of people on Twitter right now, or even making videos basically saying that they don't think the map is going to be a tactical map, that it's going to be an aim map. They don't understand how it's going to play out. I have the exact opposite view from my time playing it and just looking at the map and thinking about how it's going to end up playing out. And I'm going to walk you through on how I think Vertigo is going to be played at the professional level and probably even, potentially shape the way some teams play it. So without further ado, let's just get right into it. So CT side, I think the CTs are going to fight for mid heavily. I think A is probably going to be a retake bomb site. B could be played with 1 or 2 players. But let me just talk about why for a quick second at A, right? So if a CT were to peek this, there's going to be a T that meets him, like right there. Literally, they get there pretty much at the same time, which means that the Ts can definitely kill a CT peeking this ramp, especially by just flashing off of this wall. And if they get to here, the Ts can then peek from there, or there. And it becomes very, very difficult for a CT to hold something like this, right? There's no one piece of utility that's going to block this area. It's not like, say, Banana on Inferno. I see people thinking B is the easier bomb site to take. They couldn't be more wrong. There's so many ways to peek a CT at the A bomb site. There's no way. I feel like there's literally no way that CTs hold this unless they put a bunch of people here. Like, I'm talking like 3 people here defending this aggressively. And there's another way that I'll get to in a second. Anyway, so I think the CTs are likely going to play retake. One of the guys is going to float from mid over to A a lot and spam once mid gets held. And the one guy at B is just going to hold it by himself, potentially 2, like I said. Not really sure how that's going to play out. I think this is a very important piece of utility right here. Now, I understand the Ts will beat this Molotov, right? The Ts are going to beat this Molotov, so you're going to have another player with you that does another piece of utility, right? Whether that be, flashing off of this, so that way it meets the T that rushes, because it'll meet the T that rushes. It's actually an excellent flashbang. Or you could like pair this Molotov like you would in Banana of Inferno, right? Like you could have them almost meet, except like there's this area that's, you could potentially double nade, right? Like it's a lot like Banana on Inferno, right? Where you want to punish someone that enters the Banana with utility. That's how I think mid is going to be played. This is important to be held by the CTs because it allows them to rotate around the map very quickly, and it allows them to stop B rushes with utility, right? Like if I were in mid and my teammate were to say they're rushing B, I could do several different things, right? I could molly over this, so that way it blocks the T's entrance to this area. I could meet them with double nades at the ramp. So my teammate basically spots them coming up the ramp, right? From an angle like, like here. The second he sees that first guy, we meet them with double nades. That will destroy a B rush. This is how like a top team would destroy a B rush. Or potentially, flashing in front of this box, so that way, say my teammate who's like right here feels okay peeking out, or even if he was like here, could just straight fight the entire time with flashes right here. So that is the importance of middle on this map. I think after the Molotovs, obviously the CTs are going to end up smoking this point and controlling this area. Now, you're probably asking, like, why don't you smoke here? Well, because the Ts can actually flash through here as well as through the roof, which makes this a lot harder to hold if you're one person. Also, think about, like, it's the difference in cash, right? I would much rather control all of A main on cash rather than just smoking the front of A main. I consider this smoking the front of A main, because then a guy could get to the right side and be like looking at your forklift. That's what it feels like to me, and that's kind of a bad analogy, but it's as close as I can get comparing it to another map. So it also allows the Ts the freedom to like molly behind this box, and then it doesn't really give you much room to play, right? You probably have to give it to them the second this smoke fades, because I don't see how it'd be possible to hold. Whereas if it's this, there's really like a tiny choke point they're running through, and it becomes very, very difficult for them to take it. So that's how I think mid is going to be held. B is very interesting, right? Because if I were to just run into B and throw a molly off of there, surprisingly, the T's actually beat that Molotov. They will beat that Molotov and be up the stairs past it. It won't even do I don't think it'll do any damage to them based on what... I only tested this one person, and every time I was just able to run past that Molotov. So in Pro CS, what you'll probably see is a team coming over here just right off the bat. Just jump here. So we might see a lot of deaths. I'm just going to go ahead and warn you guys. And I think someone's going to throw a jump through a molly like that. That beats the T's. If you were to throw a molly like that, it beats the T's, right? Another cool thing I think we could see at B if we see multiple people here is potential double nades to a spot like this. Because I think what's going to happen is the T's going to come in, see the molly blows up there. He's going to come right here. He's going to get met with double nades and potentially die. And then if he doesn't die, I mean, the CTs could potentially flash peek this. And then, God, my mouse. Okay. It's the same bind as no clip, in case you're wondering. Smoke and no clip for me. So they could take control of this area, right? The CTs. Now, I don't think the CTs want to like hang out down there a lot, but it's also one of those things where if the T's retake, they're going to have to make a lot of noise and use utility to clear. Think about like these angles, like stuff back here, stuff like back here, even something like here if they come from this side. So I think the T's are going to have to make a lot of noise clearing something like that, and that's a huge win for the CTs if they were to push something like that and be successful with it. Now, I don't think it's something that will happen all the time. I also think, by the way, this head stack here could be something we see. So it could get this pick. Also, if you're head stacked right there, you can see into this. So I don't know if that's something Valve wants. Just something to think about. Also, the last thing about mid is when I was testing the timings for an A rush, if I were to just straight run here as CT and just nade immediately down like that, there's a chance that I do a 50 HP nade on a T that's rushing. Now, we tested this several times, and most of the times the T's got past without that nade hitting him. But if Valve were to ever push back the spawns somehow, I don't know how it would be possible because they already spawned way back here. But if they were to move these spawns back another second, that nade would destroy A rushes. Like, that would be a very common nade used. And even if, I mean, if T's were to just walk to A, like, the CTs might want to throw this nade just in case the T's are walking to A. You know, like, there's a high chance it would literally just destroy them if they were walking A. Also, another cool thing is if you were to, like, say, once you have mid control, just, like, smoke down here, like this, it then opens it up for a potential A push, right? Where if you were a real psycho, you could do something like, you know, flashing down and just dropping in and meeting up with your A players. Now, I'm not sure if people are going to do that. It seems pretty cool. I really would love to see that. Honestly, that'd be so sick if I saw something like that. But who knows? I mean, maybe A could be defended like that. It would make defending A a lot easier, you know, if you were successful at controlling this area and you only had to, you know, worry about this tiny choke point. It would make defending A very easy. And I would be very wrong. It wouldn't be a retake. But in my eyes right now, I think it's going to retake. I think that's a one-off push. Not sure if, maybe I'm wrong about that though. Maybe that's something bigger than I think. That's kind of it for CT theory. Also, I think this is, so the A site can be played retake, but this is also an important spam. You can just spam through that box and just destroy the planter. So another reason why I think it's going to be played retake. Yeah, one of those mid guys, like I said, rotate back, probably spam a lot. And the only real off angle you could ever hold at A is something like this, where you catch the guy jumping up. So he's like jumping up here, or you're just holding this angle. So it's like a very easy shot. Because once you give them this, you can't fight this anymore. Like, you just can't. And playing here seems cool in theory, but you better have a smoke, because any good team is mauling you, and they're likely going to re-molly you after your smoke fades. So I don't foresee a lot of success in a spot like this in professional play. Now, I'm not saying it's, you know, a bad spot in lower leagues or matchmaking, but there's no chance that that's going to have a lot of success without a lot of teamwork. I mean teamwork from like someone over here like throwing like nuts pop flashes for you, or maybe like, you know, a molly here, so that way you know that only a guy can peek you down low. A lot of weirdness is going to happen over here, basically. But I think that for the main part, site's going to play retake. Yeah, I talked about how the molly at B. So yeah, so like this molly is obviously going to be the only one that's used to stop rushes. Now let's get straight into T side, right? So T side, I actually think is very different than CT side. I don't think the T's want to fight for mid a lot. Now I see a lot of people coming up here in pugs, but I think that's because they don't understand the map yet. And I don't think there's too much value in, say, like losing 3 players fighting for mid, right? Like it's not like cash in that aspect. Now I think it's good to fight, to like fake fight for mid to bait utility, and maybe it is okay, you know, a couple times a half to fight for it, but I don't see it being like something like it's a default, we must fight for mid. Like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe, you know, pushing the CTs out of that position is so valuable that you want to do it. But I see this Molotov being very important, right? Like an early Molotov that goes there, like off of that. And then obviously if you want to fight for it, just flashes through here. You'd probably have to put out a molly as you rush, maybe even get naded a bit. And then once you get here, though, this is why I don't really understand the point of fighting for mid as T's, right? So if you smoke this off, you just end up like fighting for something like this. There's so many different angles you have to worry about, right? Like you'd have to worry about something like this. You'd have to worry about this. You have to worry about someone up here. Now, yes, a lot of these angles can get peeked like one by one, right? Like I could peek this angle one by one. I could peek this angle one by one. I could peek this angle one by one. But it slows you down a little bit, and there's not much value in it, right? Like, why would I want to do a mid A split when I have to come through here? I would equate it to, you know, trying to do an A split on overpass by going through B up into CT spawn. Like, it wouldn't make any sense to take those corridors in CT spawn, you know, into a split. So I don't think the T's are going to want to do stuff like that. Now, if a T lurks here in the mid game and like during execs for flanks, that is money. Like that is where mid is going to be used a lot by the T side, or even potentially holding the elevator shaft. But I don't think Pro CS is going to allow you to just hold the elevator shaft the way you would do it in matchmaking. So yeah, let's get into like the execs and stuff like, well, actually like map control, right? So I think this smoke is going to be very common. That setup smoke, or you could potentially throw it, you know, back deep in T spawn. Let me break all the windows so I don't have to worry about this later. Do I have to? Okay, I don't need those actually. So the setup smoke can also be thrown, I think, like this. Yeah, this is the... Obviously, I don't have the lineup perfectly. I didn't run far enough. But if you want to get it like really quick, just running out of spawn, you could do something like that. Now, all this does really is just deny vision from this B guy. And at a professional level, what that means is that they're going to probably use utility, right? So in addition to their molly there, they might like nade. You might see the flashes come over from mid that supports the B guy, right? Like something like a flash in front of there. You might see the double nades come to the ramp if they're fearful of, you know, a B rush. You might see this mid guy, you know, throw a molly like that. That's when you start bleeding their utility out, right? And that's all that smoke is good for. Also, it could potentially open up a guy to try to get greedy on the catwalk for info, and then you could see him through the floor and potentially kill him. But I think this angle, if CTs are aware of it, is almost favorable to the AUG. Like, I think if an AK were to peek me on here and I had an AUG and I saw him jump up there, I want to say I would probably get the kill, but who knows? Might be wrong about that. Anyway, the way I think a B exec is going to work, and I'll show you guys the smokes one by one. So I think this is going to be the B exec we see at the start of Vertigo, right? I think we're going to see a smoke that goes into this area right here, a smoke that goes here, and a smoke that goes there. So that smoke, it's that one, and then I'm actually going to show you these two just together, just to kind of save some time. So this guy is just literally right next to that guy, and I want to say it's like here. So the smokes are going to be like this. It's going to be like a wall of smokes that block out this side of the site. And what's going to happen is that you should connect it with this Molotov. Now, this Molotov is the one piece of utility that I know will probably be around for a while. It may not be this lineup where I look at this T right here, and then I look towards the middle, and I jump throw. But this Molly is going to be very good because it stops someone from playing here, and if there's a guy playing this back box, it forces them onto the catwalk, which, like I said, if you have a guy literally just waiting for him during your exec, he's dead, right? Like, also, if you throw a flash in the same way you threw that Molly, it is going to blow up like right in the center of the site, which if you were to run up the stairs on the left, it wouldn't blind you, but it would obviously blind anyone running out of the Molotov. It would blind anyone thinking about coming through the smokes. It pretty much blinds anyone anywhere, other than if they're somehow lucky and holding something like this, but then they're behind the smokes, so it doesn't really matter. I'll show you what it looks like with everything down. I really wish I had that weird server config that I could throw everything like right away. Kind of just I kind of guessed that second one just for the sake of throwing it really quick. Hopefully it hits. So I think an exec at the start of Vertigo is going to look something like this, obviously with good flashes. It's going to look something like this, and the T's coming up would obviously be able to clear this first and this second. Like, this isn't some kind of weird crossfire that you think it is, right? And you'd probably have a guy, like I said, holding the catwalk when that Molly blows, and then the second it's clear, obviously, like once he's not there a couple seconds after the Molotov, he could then literally just be throwing flashes. Like, instead of being worthless, he can now throw. Obviously, this isn't an ideal flash because it goes behind this box, but there's a dozen different flashes you can throw from over there that would blind people thinking about retaking. I think if I just threw it literally a centimeter higher, it would have centimeter. I don't know why it's it would blind anyone thinking about pushing through, right? So just something to think about. I think that's what a B exec is going to look like at the start. Now, I think the CTs, and this is why it's important to bleed utility early, because this smoke is good early round for Ts, or even like lurking as Ts if they wanted to potentially boost over. But when it comes to the execs, if the B player has a smoke and he sees this exec and he smokes this, now that puts a big hole in your execute, right? Like that, you would probably have to come through that smoke with this pop flash, in my opinion, while coming on the catwalk. So pro teams are going to have to think about how to deal with this smoke when it's up, and like what they're going to do if they do a B exec and that happens, because that's a very real threat in my opinion. Also, I think the CTs are probably typically going to give it to them, unless this isn't as easy as I think it is, because I also think the CTs have the option of retaking the B bomb site, right? They could throw a smoke like that, they could molly back there, and then obviously these mollies would be thrown over the wall, and they could molly there, right? So this molly would actually probably be closer to the corner, probably be like right here, so that way it literally just gets the entire area right here. And then it becomes a scenario where like the T's are going to have a lurk. They're going to have to know the spam for the bomb through the smoke, but there's no way, a CT is defusing this bomb when there's like a T here and a T here. There's just no way. Like, it's not possible, guys. So I saw that earlier. Like, I feel like the CTs are going to retake it every time. The only way they would be able to pull off something like that is if they threw a molly that blew up somehow at like the top of the stairs. I still don't even see how it would be possible. Like, this guy's definitely dying unless CTs have a heavy advantage. There's no way that that's happening. Whereas A, I feel like it's super easy to retake because you filter all the T's to the ramp. And the exec you're going to see at A is going to be, Jesus Christ, this smoke. I'm not sure if all the smokes work on 64 tick, but this smoke works on 64 tick, the one I'm throwing right now. So that will go on the back side of the site. And this one, Jesus, like I said, smoke behind a no clip. Not the best scenario. I'm not sure exactly how I line this up. I just kind of guess it every time, just based on feel. So you don't want to smoke that. You don't want this smoke to be here because it creates like a weird scenario. Actually, no, this one's actually pretty good. So this one's actually good because it stops the guy from being able to get on the box. But if it's further to the left, it creates a weird one-way for him. Same thing for this. If this smoke is to the left, it creates a one-way for the guy on top of the big box. So like if I saw this smoke, I would probably be sitting on this edge. So you don't want your smoke to go in a place like this unless you want to filter that guy there for some odd reason. And then pre-fire it. But there's a lot of other things you need to worry about, like weird angles up in here that people are hiding and trying to be nerds, or potentially boosting over here. You know, you have to worry about this stuff. That's how I think the execs are going to start on the A side of this map. But I think once teams get better at their utility, I think they're going to fight for more control at this A bomb site on T side in the pro scene. Maybe using like smokes like this, I'm not sure, combined with like a molly that, you know, blows up there. I could see that happening too. Like I said, this spam is possible, so you want to plant here. I can't even see where I'm shooting, to be honest. So yeah, so even though this is probably called default by a lot of people, I would prefer if this were, or even this were, because if you plant here and you have that mid lurk, this is a lot like, say, if you're left on a 1-on-2 on train and the CTs don't know if you're upper or lower, right? You planted inner, you could be upper or lower, the bomb's down default, and imagine this being like lower, right? Like I could peek the bomb there, or this being upper, I could peek the bomb from over here. I would probably actually favor a T if he's in this scenario in a post plant. So that's why you want to have like lurkers mid and stuff like that, just to end up in scenarios like this. That seems... Oh, and then this molly. I think this molly is actually very important. So Ts are going to be able to fight for this ramp control early, like I said, by flashing off of this wall, aggressively taking this fight with numbers, potentially even having an op just post on that. And then you could just molly sandbag, something like that. Just aiming above right there. So that's why I don't think playing that sandbag spot is viable, because what's going to happen is the Ts are going to molly that out. If you put it out with a smoke, they might re-molly it out or just double nade you. And then everything is in front of them, right? Everything is in front of you right now as a T. And because of that, it becomes a retake scenario for the CTs. It's a very easy site for the Ts to take. And that's why this is probably going to be the main bomb site hit over time. But like I said earlier in the video, Ts can just straight rush B in matchmaking. Like I said, that's not going to be an option in professional play though. Like in matchmaking, yes, you can beat the early stairs molly, but in professional play where teams are throwing the jump throw molly from back here, it's not going to happen. Unless of course the guy falls off the map, and then you know that that guy fell off the map and you should just rush B. So that's something to keep in mind, guys. If you ever see someone fall off the map in the first like 5 seconds of the round, it's probably the B guy, and he's an idiot. So you should rush B immediately. Just something to keep in mind. I'm not sure if I mentioned like the B aggro with nades, but something to keep in mind too. Like aggroing B with nades. Nades are going to be super, super, super important in this map. Like if you rush mid, you get double naded like right off the bat by set nades. If you rush A, you know, I'm sure these A players are going to know ways to just drop 50 HP nades on your head over this wall. Or potentially even literally just like double nading the planter. Like there's so many different things you can do with HE nades and teamwork and flashes on this map. It's incredible. I don't even know all the things I talked about. If I wanted to keep going on more stuff, I totally forgot. Actually, this is my second take of this video, so it's all a blur at this point. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Obviously, like I said, I haven't seen this map play out. I don't know if I'm going to be right or wrong. Let me know what you guys think, though. Peace out, guys. Thanks for watching.